The thing that shocks me is I do a lot of public speaking with different organizations like the Rotary or
Mhm.
Kiwanis or whatever. And the number one question I get at the end when I'm like, do you have anything you want to ask about? They're like, yeah, but this is Pierre. There's no
Mhm.
hunger in Pierre. And I'm like, oh, they're like, really? This?
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, honey. I said,
Mhm.
if you want to see
Yeah.
what we do, I said, show up. We invite people all the
Yeah.
time. People just come in and sit
And watch.
and just watch what we do, and their mouths hang open. They're like, it's like they didn't believe it
Yeah.
was real. Or there's a lot, we're starting to become more well known in the
Yes.
community.
Mhm.
The kids know we're here,
Mhm.
but Pierre is starting to
Mhm.
discover that we're here. So being able to visit with you on a podcast like this
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah. Welcome to this week's episode of 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota. It's August, and kids are headed back to school. And this week, we're going to continue our conversation about childhood hunger and the ways that it's impacting children across the state. We're on the road today. We're actually in Pierre at Governor's Grocer, which is a school pantry in the middle school here. And we have Hope and Harrison, a mom and daughter duo, joining us today to talk about how they're fighting hunger right here in the Pierre community. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having us.
Let's start. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so I'm Harrison Armstrong. I'm a 7th grade math teacher here, and I run student council and also Governor Grocery.
And I'm Hope Armstrong, and I taught here for like 20 years. And my last year of teaching before I retired was her first year of teaching. So
Oh.
we
We
We gotta have
started.
2 Armstrongs in
We
the
had
building
two
for a year.
Armstrongs on the mailbox in the main office
And it was
for 1 year. It was-
more than the school could handle.
It was. And so I taught 6th grade science here for bajillion years. And so now we partnered when we put this thing together, and it's just kind of evolved and we work together.
So Hope, you and I have chatted, and actually I interviewed you a couple years ago for a newsletter story,
Correct.
which was the first time I visited the pantry. And since tell people all the time they need to come see the pantry because it is such an incredible operation you have going here.
Thank you.
But take us back and tell us, how did this child hunger solution get started here at the middle school?
We had a very high population of kids who are on free and reduced lunch or are flagged at risk by our guidance counselors. And there was a middle school teacher who is now since retired, but she's very much a big part of our staff. Her name is Tammy. And Tammy had all of the prolonged assistance students in her program. And Tammy oftentimes used inclusion as part of their educational program. And I and Tammy have partnered together for years because a lot of her inclusion students would come into my science class.
Okay.
And Tammy was always being asked continually for kids under the radar for food. I'm hungry. I didn't have anything to eat today. And I said, Tammy, these are my same students on my roster too. How can I help you? How can I support you? And so I used to bring food down to Tammy just to help her because she's just paying out of pocket, and South Dakota school teachers aren't.
Yeah.
We're not millionaires.
We're not millionaires, but we're trying to do right by these kids. And we know that when you're hungry, you can't learn. And so I just partnered with Tammy a lot. And then it just got to the point where we had so many kids. And so I, being problem solver, picked up the phone and I called Pierre Area Referral Service and I talked to them and I said, hey guys, I said, I know you run the backpack program in the elementary program. I said, is there any way that we can just get an extension? Because I have 6th graders that are rolling into my room that are kids that exited off the backpack program, and they're definitely in need up here. Can we just do an extension up through 8th grade? And I really thought it would be solved with a phone call.
Sure, because those kids were receiving the backpack program.
Yes.
And then they went from 5th grade to 6th grade.
Yes.
And all of a sudden that weekend food supply stopped.
And I was informed by PARS because and they said, well, Hope, it doesn't work that way. They said, the backpack program is a federally funded program that operates from K through 5. And it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, we can't help you. And I said, I said, what's the difference between an 11-year-old in a fifth grade classroom that's hungry and receiving
Hungry is hungry.
services?
Mhm.
And I said, I have 11-year-olds in my classroom, and you're telling me that there's no options. And they're like, I'm sorry, it just can't
That's the way it
happen.
is.
You're just gonna, they said, if this is bothering you, then you're welcome to try to figure something out. And I thought,
Here I
okay,
go.
challenge accepted. So I started making phone calls, and I called Mel, who is now with Feeding South
Mhm.
Dakota. And I said, Mel, what's a backpack even look like?
Yeah.
What's in a backpack?
Mhm.
What do you feed these little guys? You know, what's a list in a backpack? And she's like, well, they get this, and they get 10 to 15 items that are just randomly placed in bags, and the guidance counselors do a distribution to their lockers
It's
on
just
Friday
waiting
afternoons,
for
and it's
them.
just waiting for them, and they take it home.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, I think we can do that. And it was really bugging me. And so I did. I just went home, and I'm a very faith-based person, and I prayed really hard about it. And God just slapped me in the forehead at about 4 a.m. and said, if you're so worried about it, then you need to step up and figure it out. And
Yeah.
I went,
Okay.
okay. So I went to my pastor and at Capitol Heights Baptist Church, and I said, here's what I am seeing. This is what I would like to do. Can I partner with the church? Because Pierre area referral service isn't an option for us.
And it's bigger than what 2 teachers can do.
Yeah.
It's more, and it's growing, and middle school students need food. And learning, Harrison, to your point, exactly, but also for growth. It's a really pivotal time for growth for those kids, and
yeah.
they need the right food to fuel them.
Exactly. And so I talked to my pastor, and he's like, he goes, absolutely, the church can do it. We're in. And so my congregation, we just put together, I got the list from Mel,
Yeah.
Feeding South Dakota,
Yep.
and we just put it in the bulletin, and just
At the end of every church service, while we were doing kind of our trial run, be about 15 of us in the back just stuffing ramen noodles and mac and cheese and juice boxes in, and then we'd load it up into a pickup truck, and one of the guys would bring it up in a dolly.
And on Thursday nights, they would load up, and I talked to the guidance counselors, because the guidance counselor at the time was very supportive, and he said, we've always wanted to do something with this. The guidance counselors in the city are aware that this is a definite need. We will work with you. And and they said, what do you need? And I said, at this point, I need a list. I need who needs
How many kids are we talking about?
And so our original list started with 60 kids.
Okay.
And they were kids that had exited off of the backpack program, or they came in from counselor recommendations, or any teacher in the middle school, once they knew that we were offering this, could submit a name.
Okay.
And so I'm the one that housed it in my classroom, because I was still in the building. And so they would roll it. We had 60 pre-made bags. And I had a big table at the front of my classroom, and I just put a big tablecloth over it, and I hid everything. And then on Friday morning during my prep period, I just started calling every kid as fast as I could out of their first period class. Please come to my room. And I said, this is from the back. This is like the backpack program. Would you like a bag of food?
And how was it received?
Wow. When I first started with Feeding South Dakota, I was told that they were a little bit skeptical that a middle school kid would be receptive to a free bag of food. They thought that there would be some embarrassment there, pride issues there. And they said, we really just don't see anything like this flying. We wish you well, but until you bring us some hard and fast data, we're really not interested in partnering with you right now.
Because that's
bring
been
us some data,
right?
Yeah.
Bring us some data. And so I went, okay. So I started with my list of 60, and I just kept track every week. And they came in, and they got their food. And the thing that was very overwhelming to me was the number of kids who said, well, I'm going to grandma's this weekend. Can I have another one? My brother is, can I have a second one? Can I have grandpa's coming to visit? Can I have another? They were always asking for more than they had. I ran it the last 9 weeks of the school year, just kind of as a trial run. And out of 60 kids times 9 weeks, only 2 kids one time said, no, you know what? I think I'm good this week. I'll pass. And one of the things that we noticed was they started digging through the bags because
What's in here?
or they're looking.
Right. They know
through-
exactly what
they know what they
want.
like. And one of the things, so then it started to grow from there. And one of the things that let me, so it's hard to talk about, but there was a student who came up to my room and he had excused himself from class. And he knocked on my window, and it was a Wednesday. And he knew first period was my planning period because that's when I handed out the bags.
On Friday.
On Friday, the bags were passed out for the weekend.
So we're 2 days early.
And he knocked on my window, and he said, "Mrs. Armstrong, can I come in and talk to you?" And I said, "Absolutely, bud. What do you need?" And he said, "I'm just so hungry. There's nothing left." He said, "Do you by any chance have the bags early, or do you have any leftover from last week? I'm just so hungry." He said, he says, "I'm having a hard time sleeping." And I said, "You know what, bud? I have 3 right here in the cupboard that are leftover.
Yep.
Would you like all 3? Yes, please." And I said,
Because he had siblings, right?
He had siblings.
Yep.
Yeah. He has a whole pile of siblings. And statistically speaking, the data says on the South Dakota, Feeding South Dakota website that 3.47 family members will eat off of every single bag that's distributed to the family. And so I gave him all 3 because
they have like
A
12
big enough
people.
family.
Yes,
they had
it's
12
huge.
people living in the household. And so, and that's when I knew we were really, really on to something.
Yeah. And I share that story often because I think you expanded on it when you shared it with me even a little more to say that you were able to verify that social services had been to the home.
Yes, and we had filed a report on this family before, and they were living with mom and dad at the time, and mom and dad caught wind of the
They
fact
got tipped off early.
they got tipped off early that they were coming to do a home inspection, so they literally placed 1 jar of peanut butter in an empty refrigerator. And when they came to do the home inspection, they were classified as a safe, okay family
Because they
with
had something.
food in the home.
Wow. And I share this often because it is such a reality. And people hear about these programs, these benefit programs, the free and reduced lunch and breakfast, and they hear about SNAP benefits, and they hear about, all the other things.
Right.
And there gets to be a stigma around people who use that program, but we can't forget about the kids.
They
who
can't
change.
They can't abdicate
Yeah.
for themselves.
Yeah.
They don't have any place to go. They didn't have, like I
They
said.
can't change the situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so after I took that data back to Feeding South Dakota, they went, "Wow."
Yeah.
And they said, "Can we partner with you?" And I'm like, "Yes, please." Yes.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, this room that we're filming in right now evolved because of suggestions from Feeding South Dakota. And they said, "Have you ever thought about just doing a pantry where the kids can come down and shop for themselves, give them respect, give them autonomy?" And I said, "Well, that makes I said, "I watch them dig through bags every week
Yeah.
as hamsters because I know they like this. I know they like this. I know they don't like, even though Dinty Moore stew has more nutritional value than a package
They
of
want ramen.
They want-
Ramens and mac and cheese, man. Those are the hot commodities.
and they're digging around to, and I said, so absolutely that makes sense to me
Yeah.
that they could come through. So then we proceeded to approach the school about, can we have space? Can we have a room? And so we worked with the school, and the classroom that we're sitting in right now was in use in,
What, the 90s? Early 2000s?
yeah, and then it had just become a dumping ground for everything that the school really didn't know what to do with. And we
Storage
say
space.
it was
It
dust.
was a glorified storage space.
And
Yes.
it was dust and bugs, and it was terrifying when we first walked in the room. And she's the one. Well, I'll just turn it over to you at this point because you were.
I
shown the
walked
space.
in and I tried not to bawl because it was just like I don't even know
lot.
what to do. And luckily, I just finished my first year of teaching, and so I contacted a few of my older students because they knew I'd kind of talked in class about, hey, we're gonna start this up next year, and a couple of them were like, hey, I want to help. I have nothing to do this summer, and so they came in every day for a week and painted. We went through so many Clorox wipes, vacuums. One of my students actually came up with our logo mural, whatever you want to call it, and they just worked. And ever since then, it's just kind of exploded.
And are these students that would use the program or students who just knew that other students in the class needed this?
Both actually.
Both.
Mhm.
And that's I run student council here, and so that's been kind of my big goal, especially this past school year, is to get every student down here. That way, it, like you said, there's that stigma
It
around
feels
it, and
normal.
I don't want kids to be, oh, blah blah blah's headed down to the pantry. Well, geez. So I actually have a lot of my study hall kids come down, or student council will come down and we'll organize stuff. Or last year we did a big food drive around Christmas, and that was really cool to see the whole school come
Yeah.
together and the kids haul it down, and they're like, wow, this is here. And
Mhm.
so everybody just says going down to the pantry, and there's nothing connected to
Right.
it. It's just a place everybody
Yeah.
goes.
It's another room like the gym or the
Yeah.
library.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a great strategy and a very important thing to do because, you know, we have found that when kids get to middle school, they don't want to take that bag home because everybody knows what the bag is, and they don't want people to know that life isn't perfect at home.
Yeah.
And so you've got to fight that a little bit, right? And you've allowed the kids here to embrace the fact that there are kids in their classroom that are hungry and that they need food, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So so the space is detached from the building.
Yes.
It's a separate kind of little separate area. And kids come and they help you stock the shelves. They help you arrange things during the school day.
all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
And then is it on Fridays then that kids can
Yes.
come shop? Are
Yep.
they like go from school a little early, or how does that work?
So 6th grade has study hall the last class period of the
Okay.
day, and so our 6th graders, we kind of use it to train them up for the program for 7th and 8th grade. Usually we'll coordinate with their study hall teachers, and they'll get to kind of come down early, which they love because then they get first picking. So they've kind of figured the system out. And then 7th and 8th graders come down right after school gets
Sure.
out.
And the other thing is we have a number of special ed students that utilize the pantry. So a lot of times we will contact them because they'll come down with a buddy or they'll come down with a tutor
Sure.
that will help them. Some of them are
That way they don't get, a lot of times they get overstimulated,
Mhm.
especially when you got 45
A
kids
bunch of
fighting
kids.
for a pack
Yeah.
of ramen noodles or a fruit
Yeah.
snack. That way they can come in, pick out, and then practice begging and
Sure.
stuff.
So who's here? Because you're in class.
So
who's
last
here?
year I had prep, which was really nice. So I just knew get all my stuff done Monday through Thursday, and I would sneak down and come help. And that's switching this year. So we actually have probably about 20, a group of about 20 volunteers, and about
Wow.
every Tuesday, Wednesday night we go, hey, who can make it this week? And so
Wow.
everybody's got their
we all have our
fancy
t-shirts.
shirts.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so usually we have anywhere between 6 to 12 of us here.
Okay.
I mean,
It takes a lot.
it takes a lot. We have people standing out at the door greeting people to come in. We have our beggars. We have people who kind of help monitor, get kids through. That way, we have a new thing we started was a fruit and veggie, I don't know what you want to call it, section,
Like a fresh.
but it's all free.
Okay.
It doesn't count towards their items.
I see. Because when they come in, everything is shelved, kind of like a grocery store,
Yes.
right? Like items together, but it will say like the cereal section will say take one.
Yes.
Or there might be some less healthy foods,
Yeah.
and it's take one.
We have entree section and
Breakfast,
then
entree, drinks, and snacks. And then we've called it the bonus. So, but sometimes we get some kind of fun stuff from Feeding South Dakota.
Yeah.
They'll bring us just a bunch of bins and stuff. So the kids will kind of start shopping through and,
Yeah.
whoa, there's a gingerbread house in here sort of stuff. We used to have a lot of our fruit in the snack section, but when you got fruit snacks and beef jerky waiting for them, they don't want a peach cup over it.
When
So
they can
we've-
only pick.
Right. So we've switched that over, and we've noticed that especially fruit, just kids love it, will take it. And I accidentally ordered the wrong items last year off Feeding South Dakota. I thought I was ordering these cute little pineapple cans, and I got these giant glass jars full of pineapple spears.
Oh, wow.
So those were the hot commodities for about the last
Everybody likes
6 weeks
those.
of school.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So about how many items or how many pounds of food do you think that kids leave with? Like, do you equate it to meals? Like, how many is it?
we plan to send them home with enough food to meet all of their nutritional needs for the weekend. So
Okay.
they have
Friday night.
they have 2 breakfasts for Saturday, Sunday. Then they have 4 entrees for lunches and suppers.
Mhm.
Then we have their fruits and vegetables. Then we have 4 drinks that they
Okay.
can get.
Yeah.
Then we have 4 snacks, and then we always have bonus items.
And I think it's important to say that it's in partnership with Feeding South Dakota, but your church still really supports this pantry, right?
It's exploded. Half of Pierre has kind of adopted us. And so actually every fall right now is when churches, we call them, or some of them have already started calling us, and they're like, can we do a drive again? And
what do you need?
Congregations just show up with vanfuls, and it's really nice because that first month when you're trying to just get school up and running, we don't have to go grocery shopping or anything. We just have it all.
And a lot of the churches will kind of stagger. So like this church will take September, this will take October. So we have a steady influx. So, you know, yes, we have a financial budget that we operate within as far as ordering food, but we also are very much donation driven.
This past year, the donut shop adopted us, which if you've ever been to the donut shop in Pierre, best donuts in the world. And so if they have extras on Friday, they bring them down and they get a donut on their way out the door. And it's funny because a lot of kids after the first 3 weeks, they're like, is this an every week
Am I going to get this every week?
And so we've learned we actually have to put them in Ziploc bags so they go home so they don't start chowing down on them as they walk out.
We don't want anybody consuming food within the pantry, but sometimes we have kids that are so hungry that they actually try to start eating in the pantry. Or we've also had problems with like hoarding and theft where kids will just load up. They'll come down in a hoodie and they try to hide extra food because, like we said, 3.47 family members are eating off of that bag. And so a lot of times these kids literally don't know where their next meal is coming from. And it's, you know, sometimes like survival behavior that we're dealing with. And we never chastise them for it. We just say, hey, buddy, or hey, you know, sweetheart, you know, turn around and look at how long the line is winding out the door. We just need to make sure that everybody has what they need. You can have a couple extra, but can we put some of these back for the rest of the line? And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if you need an extra bag, we'll get you one.
Yeah, we can talk about that. And when I came the first time, one of the things you talked about being, you know, the pantry, you know, being respectful and really bringing dignity to hunger, right? I mean, it's Governor's Grocery, and it really is run like a grocery store. Like they come to the counter.
They grab their little shopping cart.
We have shopping baskets, and they shop around, and they go
and they check out with someone, and
usually it's bagged up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're keeping inventory.
Yep.
And then Hope, what do they get before they go out the door?
A lot of times they get it. They always get a hug on their way out the door. And it's gotten to the point where that's a really important part for them too. We always tell them that we love them. You know,
it's cute because sometimes we've got kids, you know, they'll hug whoever checks them out, or they want to go hug every single person in the room. And it's funny because once in a while we'll have one of our kids that leaves, and then they come back. I forgot to give
my hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that we tried really hard to do is we have grab and go bags because some of our kids ride buses.
Okay.
And we never wanted them to have to choose. You know, sometimes our line gets so long that it's prohibitive for them. And we didn't want them to be faced with the choice of, do I get food this weekend or do I get a ride home from school?
Yeah.
And so we have pre-made up about 20 grab and go bags at any one time. So a kid can shoot in and grab a bag and hit checkout and just get to their bus. Because, you know, hunger is hunger. And, you know, we want to make sure that they have what they need for the weekend. We don't want them to have to decide.
Right. And it's, when I was here the very first time, I think it was kind of close to Christmas, and you had a whole shelf of Bath and Body Works. And you said that kids could take up to 2 items to gift somebody, which I thought was just so neat. But also you had hats and gloves, and you know, I'm looking at your shelves. You have feminine products, you have deodorant, you have shampoo, because those are all very important aspects of it too.
One of the things that we, you know, middle school kids are experiencing puberty, and their bodies are just walking bags of hormones. And, you know, if you're dirty and you're smelly, you're not going to be socially accepted, and you're not going to have friends.
Yeah.
And so we try to deal, and you go ahead and talk about, you know, the hygiene section was
Harrison's idea.
As being a middle school teacher, I usually can. Is it a PE day today, guys? Did you run the mile? Because it's really bad. And usually,
I'm just going to turn on my fan. I know.
Sorry, Miss Armstrong. And I just thought about, I mean, especially being a female, I mean, you get your period every month. And a lot of them, don't have anything. And it was actually the nurse who kept calling me, do you have any extras down there? I'm out again, Harrison. I'm sorry. Do you have more? And so I finally just went, well, this is dumb. Let's just make a hygiene section. And it's exploded. And one of the cool things we did right before school ended was we opened one more extra week. We didn't have any of the food left, but we told any of the ladies or males, you know, if you need deodorant, and so many girls came in and we stocked them up for
the whole summer with feminine products.
And we actually, what was her name that hosted?
Julia Jones
is a friend here in Pierre, and we hosted a period party. And I was like, what in the world is a period party? And she invited
some people kind of, you know, yucking out right now, but it's a very real thing.
It is a very real thing. And she had it to destigmatize it because, and so everyone, it was a Christmas party that she hosted at her home, and your ticket in the door was either pads or tampons, and they just left them in a donation box at the door. And then we had a wonderful Christmas party. And then at the end we still, I mean, this is still all extra stuff. And I told the nurse about it. So she has no problem now. Armstrong, I need another box. And it's been nice because she said up there, they only have so much money. So she's like, when I'm out, I'm out. She's usually out by October for the year. And, you know, she's got kids who come down and ask for
you're not going to tell a young female, no, I don't have anything for you.
You've got to do something, right? And you were talking earlier, Hope, about, you know, just buying food as a teacher to have, because you know your students are hungry. And I know some teachers, and I know there's a lot of teachers that do that with their own budget. I
jokingly had a drawer behind my desk labeled the loaves and fishes. And when
please multiply it.
Please multiply. I never looked in the drawer.
Yeah.
I just said, there it is. Help yourself. I had kids who ate breakfast every single day
out of that drawer.
And then it grew into some school supplies and
so
we have a school supply section because with the beginning of the school year, it's amazing how many kids literally show up with their body. They have no backpack, they have no pencils, they have no paper, they have no folder. They you know, there's this big supply list that they're supposed to have, but the situation
it's about they've calculated about $100 a kid by the time you get everything.
And budgets don't allow for that. We talk a lot about difficult decisions that people have to make. Are you paying your rent, or are you buying food? Are you paying a medical bill? But school is a very, and that's just the supplies. Sometimes if you have your kids in a sport, or if they want to do those things, that's an additional cost as well.
And we have people that will bring us fully stocked backpacks.
We kind of have kind of like a grab and go bags, ready to go backpacks. You know, here's your 4 notebooks.
Here's everything
pencils,
for a 6th
folders,
grader,
ready to go.
Or here's our 7th grade backpacks. Here's our 6th grade back, because the lists are a little bit different from grade to grade. So
here's your water bottle. That's a big item we've done the last 2 years is water bottles.
We give away water bottles because they're allowed to carry a water bottle and refill, and water is brain food, and they need to stay hydrated. And a lot of times now in the school, they've turned off the water fountains for hygiene purposes, and their fill stations for bottles. If you don't have a water bottle, you can't fill up at the station. And so we get like big cases of water bottles, and we give those out in the fall. We have some churches that they have a knitting club, and they're the ones I already have.
Make the hats and gloves.
I have hundreds of hats and gloves and scarves sitting in my garage right now from the knitters. We have little old 90-year-old ladies in the nursing home who are just knitting up, and they're just so happy to
have a purpose.
Yes.
So Harrison, you've used the word exploded many times. Like when you're like, it just exploded. So we started by talking about kids coming off of the backpack program from elementary to middle school, and now they have access to this great resource. But what happens when they go to high school?
So that was a big problem we were running into our 1st or 2nd year. Some kids were like, where am I supposed to go now? Or it was kind of cool, kind of weird. Kids started coming back that were high schoolers. And so we got in contact with the administration up there and a couple special ed teachers up there. And so every week, my study hall kids, they ask every day if it's pantry day, come down and help do all the grab and goes. And then one of our workers, Mary, drives them up there every day. And our next big project is we want to create a whole nother second pantry up there too.
At the high school.
Yeah.
They've been it's very prohibitive. The
Yeah.
high school is just explode. They didn't have even a closet, and they truly, truly don't. I've walked around with the administration, saying, and they're like, we have looked they're very much in support of us. They're very appreciative. They've asked us to be involved and feed them. And our best solution that we've come up with at this point is to offer kind of where we started at the middle school was the grab and go program.
Yeah.
So they do know that grab and go program is in place, and they know where they can go to get a bag. And then we had an interesting situation where the principal of the high school contacted me, and he said, we have rented space at Capital City campus, which is like the local university center for the city of Pierre. And those classes are all offered in the afternoon or evening. So the high school has rented that space, and they do course recovery work for seniors who are at risk to not graduate because they failed a class or two. And a lot of times what they're finding is there's a lot of correlation between hunger, poverty, attendance, and performance in school. And he said, would you be willing to bring breakfast down to Capital City campus 5 days a week?
Wow.
He said, we have a roster of 50. We cap it at 50 because we're just concentrating on our highest need kids. But I said, okay. And we just kind of stepped out in faith, and I penciled the numbers, and I'm like, I don't know if I didn't want to gut out this program to extend us and stretch us too thin. And I just like prayed about it, and I'm like, okay, God, what do I do? Because this added so much more expense. And, it just in prayer, it was like, okay, you step out, you do the work, let me deal with the money. And I have strangers in parking lots who just know me, know what we're doing, and will just very quietly hand me checks for $1,000. I'm not kidding. And it's not that, we use everything we need, and we're very conscientious as far as our budget.
Sure.
But
yeah,
God is good.
So how many years was it between starting the grab and go under the table in your classroom to now where you're at with this pantry?
4. No, 4.
3.5.
3.5.
Because we
Wow.
did that.
I was thinking you were gonna say like 7 or
Nope.
9.
No, because
Nope.
it was my first year, and then ever since that we got the room, and every year we just kind of
Exploded.
We've been in
grow.
this room for
Yeah.
3 years, and we started at the end of the school year,
Yeah.
her first year and my last year.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you know, what do these kids do in the summer? How do they get food access in the summer here?
We were very concerned about that.
Mhm.
One, school is shut down. Our staff is on vacation. They're busy. But we also know that hunger doesn't go away. You don't just not eat in the summer.
Mhm.
And so we contacted PARS, and we
Mhm.
have partnered with PARS. Every summer we have partnered with PARS, and there are 3 distribution sites that the kids can go to. And the food distribution in the summer is on Thursdays, and they have a choice of Urban Indian Health, PARS, or a Southeast Methodist Church. And they have bags for them all summer long because
Yeah.
hunger doesn't go away.
It doesn't.
And,
And you need them to come back now in the fall ready to learn. You know,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that they have the proper nutrition all summer to have that brain health and that physical health so that when they come back to school, they're ready to go.
yes.
absolutely.
Well, this is a pretty incredible thing that you guys have done. And Hope, I think about how you started the conversation by saying, and I don't know if you said this while we've been recording or if you said it to me before we started, but you saw an issue that needed a solution and you just knew you had to do something about it.
Yeah.
So if you hadn't, what do you think it would look like?
If I hadn't,
If you hadn't stepped in and taken that action to say, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to build something that gives these kids access to food.
I don't know. I have volunteers that come in and work as part of our staff of 20 who said, I would have been a pantry kid. I was hungry. I didn't have any place to go. I didn't have any resources. I
Yeah.
didn't have any access.
Yeah.
I have to support this program. I have to, I have to step up and take care of, I went through this. I needed this program desperately. I have to be here to help.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know.
There might still be teachers
You're too stubborn. You wouldn't have not
found a solution. But
Yeah.
but that's, I think that's what it takes. Is it's not just about knowing that there's an issue. It's about saying there's an issue and we need to solve it. And who can I partner with? Who can we reach out to? Who can help us?
The thing that shocks me is I do a lot of public speaking with different organizations like the Rotary or Kiwanis or whatever. And the number one question I get at the end when I'm like, do you have anything you want to ask about? They're like, yeah, but this is Pierre. There's no hunger in Pierre. And I'm like, oh, honey. They're like, really? I'm like, oh, honey. I said, if you want to see what we do, I said, show up. We invite people all the time. People just come in and sit
and watch
what we do, and their mouths hang open. They're like, it's like they didn't believe it was real. Or there's a lot, we're starting to become more well known in the community. The kids know we're here, but Pierre is starting to discover that we're here. So being able to visit with you on a podcast like this is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole intent of it, is to be able to shine a light on the reality of hunger in South Dakota, that it's not just a number. We have a food insecurity number. We know 1 in every 5 children are hungry in South Dakota. We know that there's programs to help those kids, but we need to say more. We need to share the reality.
Talk about the tour this spring.
So one thing they incorporated this year is part of the 5th graders come up right before school ends. That way they're not so nervous on that first day of school, got the jitters. And so they do a tour of the building. And one of the things the counselors asked us was, well, can we show the kids the pantry? And I was like, well, absolutely.
Why
They
not?
said our numbers are, I guess that's my buzzword, exploding again.
That's all right.
And so that way the kids, because usually that first week of school, the kids are just trying to survive.
There's a lot.
They're trying to figure out how the heck to do their lockers, what's my lunch code, how to get into my gym locker. And so we wanted them, instead of being scared and just not coming because they didn't know where to go, they incorporated it on the tour this year. So that way they know exactly where to go, and we're here waiting for them.
There's no stigma. And the counselors the counselors at the middle school are the ones that put together our roster is fluctuating, and they rotate up from grade to grade. But they said, you just wait. There's so many kids, and
and we've opened it up. Our first 2 years, we were required to do permission slips. Well, that's a big
from
battle.
Parents. It is. It's a barrier.
It's a pride thing. A lot of it is, and
you can't ask a parent to sign a piece of paper that says, I'm not parenting properly and feeding my children. So here,
that's what they think.
That's how they feel. That's how it was internalized.
Right. It's
and
not,
so
right.
we were able to switch it. This was our first.
This was our first
Our
year.
first year, and administration switched, and so they said, you know what, we're done with that, and our numbers doubled.
They doubled.
How many kids a week do you think use the pantry during the school year?
Right around 50. I think our highest was 76.
76
in 1 week. And that's just the middle school kids. That's not all of our grab and goes, our breakfast for our high schoolers.
That's not any of that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
We try to do fun holiday things for them.
We had Santa Claus come in this year with stockings.
Gosh, that's great. That's great.
So we have we had pre-filled stockings for them where there was all sorts of stuff.
We did meal bags for Easter. We try to kind of get them, instant mashed potatoes, kind of that nicer stuff.
Type.
Every kid should get to have a Christmas or Thanksgiving. And so we try to make it kind of fun. And it's been really cool. Some of my friends' parents have gotten onto it. And so they always sponsor the Thanksgiving one. And it's just exploded.
We do Thanksgiving, we do Christmas, and we do Easter.
So when you go and talk to people and about those types of things, do you have it costs this much per student to help financially with the pantry, or
$68 per kid per month?
Okay.
Because we jokingly said we should, when we were joking, and we called ourselves the $68 club because it takes $68 a month to feed one child.
$2 a day.
Yeah.
Will help. $2 a day will help them take home enough food for 6 meals,
Yep.
2 breakfasts and 4 lunches or dinners.
Yeah.
Yes.
That seems doable. That seems like I could skip a coffee, or I could
Yep.
modify something in my day to make that happen.
Absolutely.
And the need is going to continue, to your point.
Yes.
And we're seeing that across the state through all of our programs and partners.
You know, and a lot of and I work with a lot of churches in town, like 10 or more churches, all denominations, all over town. And it's like they talk about missions and their mission field, and it's like you don't have to leave your own community to find a mission field.
That's
because there's a big need right here, and it's called you take care of family takes care of family, and we're Pierre. Pierre should step up and take care of Pierre.
But it needed somebody like you, the two of you, to let them know that, to share that
love
story.
the kids that come down that with the student council or the study halls, and they're like, you mean I've had kids say to me, you mean there's kids who don't have food when they go home? They're like, really? Is that
making them so aware of the situation that's going on? And then a few kids' parents have emailed me, contacted me, going, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm sending
How
my
can I
kid
help?
with a bag of food, and then they leave it behind my desk so I can
Yeah.
bring it down the next week.
Yeah, and all of that adds up. All
It
of that
does.
adds up.
No stigma.
No.
We just want
I mean, we even have it's kind of cute. Some wrestlers come in. So I'm so hungry. Can I please have a fruit snack? You bet, bud. Like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Your body needs fuel.
Yeah. So, what do you hope for the future of this program?
a room at Riggs, a full-time pantry at Riggs.
We're actually working with a program in Pierre called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And they build bed. Their motto is no kid sleeps on the floor in our town.
Okay.
And so we're starting to reach out to our pantry kids and connect up with them so that way we can start getting them a bed and bedding for
Sure,
free.
because hunger is just one
It's
aspect.
just one aspect of their whole
There's
life.
more.
Yes. So we started that at the end of last year, and that's kind of my personal goal this year is to attack that more this year and get those kids a bed, blankets, pillows, just keep rounding out their lives.
So, have you seen a change in student behavior and learning?
Oh,
have you seen a change in that?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
We always talk about one of our mottos is you can't be hungry for knowledge if you're just plain hungry. And so kids who have breakfast and meals, I mean, a lot of the behaviors just drastically, because a lot of them, when those behaviors arise, whenever I have to pull a kid out to the hall, I'm not pointing fingers, what's going on.
How can
And
I
it's
help
usually
you?
mom and dad. I had one girl last year who mom works the night shift and there's a newborn baby and it's me at night and I'm so tired I can't see straight, Miss Armstrong. I'm hungry and I need to sleep. But I said, that's more important to me today. Go to the corner and take a nap.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's just, you want those to be unique, rare situations, but it's happening more than you think.
And the guidance counselors will contact Harrison and say, we've got this situation, or can we go down and access the can we take our key and go down and stock up this kid or stock up this family or help? And absolutely, we are here for every kid in this building. You don't have to be on our roster. Our roster now has just kind of become data.
A fancy checklist.
It's a fancy check. We just need to report numbers
Yeah.
at the end of each month on what we're serving.
Sure.
But we don't need names anymore. We have the names so that we can learn their names and build a relationship with them so that if they miss a week or something, we're aware of it. If there's more going on and how can we help then.
Absolutely. Well, I would say the kids of Pierre are very lucky to have the two of you and that the two of you jumped into this solution. And I think it's pretty incredible that you've become the go-to resource for people who want to support this kind of work and for people who need this access. So you're doing great work here, and thank you very much for doing that, because it takes a village.
I love kids. We both love kids.
I always said
I can't. You cannot put me in a room full of adults ever. But like a room full of middle school kids, that's
a good
my
morning.
jam. Let's sing. Let's do whatever. We're gonna learn some math today. I love it. And so if I can help them, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I taught 35 years, and I said, I love my job so much. I'd have done it for free, but don't. And I always say,
now you're. I was
and
gonna
I'm
say
like, it's still kind of a full time
it's a
job.
job.
But I always say, now God is signing my paycheck instead of Pierre
There you
Public
go.
Schools.
There you go. Well, thank you for being here today, and thank you for joining us for this really important conversation. Child hunger is something that we're asked about a lot at Feeding South Dakota. It's something we talk about often because children can't change their situation. And we've talked in the past about community-led solutions and how the best ways to fight hunger come from within the community. It comes from the people who know the people who are hungry, who know the situations, who know what's available in the community. And Hope and Harrison are just a really great example of how that has been so successful here in Pierre. Stay tuned. We're going to keep talking about child hunger. We're going to keep bringing attention to it. Kids are going back to school, and in Harrison's words, you can't be hungry for knowledge if you're hungry. If you're just plain hungry. If you're interested in learning more about Governor's Grocery, you can find information about them on the website, right? Do you have a website, Facebook page? What do you have?
We do not.
You don't have anything? Just stop on by.
I'm their social media person,
right.
and so I just have lots of posters and stuff I email out. But harrison.armstrong@k12.sd.us, and I will answer any question you've got for me.
Yeah. Come on down, check out the pantry, look at the pantry. If you want to support it with a food drive, with a period party, with a toiletries drive, whatever it is, or a financial donation that will help them continue to expand. We encourage you to do that. And I think they're just a really great example of how Feeding South Dakota likes to partner in communities to make sure that the food is there for the people who need it the most. Thanks for having us today.